Coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumeme in Accra, this is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni. Now in our headline, majority of police officers are not happy with IGP Dampari's administration. Tales begin to drop from one after the other probe into leaked IGP tape saga as COP Alex Mensah confirms his voice but says it has been doctored. Also, Special Prosecutor fights off claims that it acted on public sentiment and without legal backing as it describes the computation of the time limitation based on which an Accra High Court declined it freezing and seizures orders as erroneous. Thank you so much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Now, majority of police officers are not happy with IGP Dampari's administration. A claim by COP George Alex Mensah, one of the 3 police officers caught on tape planning to oust IGP Akufo Dampari. Now, the Director General of Operations for the Ghana Police Service disclosed that he has always wanted to be made the Inspector General of Police. According to him, this lobbying has been ongoing since the governing New Patriotic Party assumed office in 2017. We'll hear COP George Alex Mensah's testimony at the committee shortly. But first, let's listen to this.
If you put me in your breast pocket, you might have breast cancer. You put me in your back pocket, you might not be able to sit down. G.A. Mensah is not bribable.
Now, answering questions before the parliamentary committee investigating the leaked tape, COP George Alex Mensah said the IGP is mismanaging the police service and personnel were unhappy under his administration.
Speaking to the audio. Now, in that same statement, you indicated that meanwhile this IGP is not correct. Commissioner, can you explain what you meant by this IGP is not correct? What has he done?
Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again. That the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground and find out from them.
Commissioner, calm down. Calm down. Can you assist this committee? You see, within the context of your statement, it had to do with elections. So let's do some quick analysis of his conduct relative to elections. Has he evinced some level of unprofessionalism when it comes to the policing of elections, to the best of your knowledge? Because you spoke within the context of the conduct of elections.
Honorable Chair, my concern was and is that as we speak, majority of police officers are not happy. And if these same people are those who are going to police the elections. And remember, police officers, they vote. Their wives vote. Their children vote. Their mothers and fathers vote. That is my concern.
Now asked whether he trusted in the ability of Bugrinabu to lobby for him to become the IGP, the COP answered in the affirmative. The Commissioner of Police, however, noted that Bugrinabu's testimony about him in the presence of the committee were full of lies.
We know this committee doesn't have any original tape, as you are saying. But when we listened to Alhaji Bukinabu, when he appeared before the committee, Mr. Chair, he stated that after he sent a tape to the president. The implication is that the original tape is the president. Maybe that's why my counsel were asking if we can get hold of the original tape. Mr. Chair, my discussions with Bukrinabu was a private conversation, and nobody alerted me that they are recording it. So I still see it as private conversation, and most of the things I'm not ready to talk about it, most especially when this is being videoed and being put there.
Now, I have been joined by Professor Kwesi Enin, the Director of Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Prof, we are so grateful you could join us here. Now, thanks for the time you are going to spend with us here. We want to find out from you. COP George Alex Mensah said majority of police officers are not happy with IGP Dampari's administration. I want to find out from you, is COP Mensah sowing seeds of disaffection against the sitting IGP, or he's actually stating the fact?
Well, I don't think he's stating any fact. I mean, you can see from his body language and demeanor that this is a man who is almost ready to explode. You know, so purely based on his behavior before this committee and the amount of pent-up anger, you know, it raises quite some concerns. The usage of the word majority, I think we can dismiss.
Okay.
I train several police officers every year. Some will give negative comments. Majority of them, or both, some of them will also give very positive comments. But there are very disturbing aspects to the Commissioner of Police's, you know, comments. If he has this frustration about the performance of IGP Dampari, there are well laid out procedures and mechanisms for complaints and for bringing your, you know, dissatisfaction forward. It may be that he doesn't trust the internal processes and procedures, but, you know, the police council is there. And for the purposes of this conversation, you know, the police council has two advisory bodies.
Okay.
The Appointments and Promotions Advisory Body and the Police Management Board. Now, these advisory bodies are there purposely to ensure that individuals who have grievances, who are unhappy, you know, may then take those things up. Worst case scenario, he could have gone to the, you know, Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. But to seek to use a political outlet and to confirm that he has, I don't know the word to use, that he has wanted this post right from the word go, you know, taints the objectivity of what he's saying. Finally, when he raises concerns about the IGP's professionalism and therefore his unwillingness, you know, to be manipulated in changing the outcome of an election, that is very problematic.
Okay.
And the fact that people are unhappy, but will have to play a role in election security task forces, doesn't mean that their wives and children will also vote differently or they will not vote. If we do a random sampling in Ghana and people are unhappy, that doesn't mean they are going to, you know, misbehave or take the law into their own hands. So there are very disturbing aspects of his behavior, of the argument, that I think we need to subject very carefully. But certainly, this is an individual who seeks to go down, either to pull the IGP down with him or certainly to destroy a service that he has served for I don't know how many years.
Oh.
And therein lies my pain and my concern.
All right, Prof. But yes, COP Mensah will definitely go on retirement by September 16, according to the facts. And one could say he's just expressing the sentiment of other officials who can't for fear of victimization. What do you make of that school of thought, for instance?
I truly do not like people who don't have the backbone and the gumption to speak up when they are facing some problems wherever they work. And particularly for Mr. Mensah to wait until he's on terminal leave to speak. What is he afraid of? He's a commissioner of police. He was IGP material. Dr. Dampare as IGP does not have the right to sack him or to demote him. So what it means is that this is an individual who has raised some concerns. And my suggestion is that, yes, after this committee has sat, we need to look into whatever he's saying. Issues of disaffection within the service is very key to national stability and security. But it is hurtful that at his position and level, that he didn't use the statutory tested internal mechanisms for redressing grievances. That, I think, weakens whatever case he has. And the fact that he thought using political channels was the right thing. That was absolutely wrong for a man in his position. And it raises concerns as to the extent to which he can treat his political opponents fairly. That is not right. And that, I think, undermines the sanctity, the professionalism, and the neutrality of the Ghana Police Service. And he does great disservice to the honest men and women in this service who, irrespective of their difficulties, seek to perform a service that is neutral and very professional.
All right, talking about you bringing in the policy, I want to find out from you. So political interference in the police service appears to be affecting its administration. I want to find out from you, how can we eliminate or minimize political interference in security matters in the country? What do we need to do?
I mean, look, most of my work over the past 40 years have focused, particularly related to the security agencies, about improving professionalism, sharpening integrity, ensuring that internal mechanisms for decision-making processes are clear and well laid down, and that the processes for redressing concerns are also very clear. I want to make yet another point. In every single administration across the world, you choose those that you feel comfortable with and who are qualified to deliver the services and the political objectives of that particular government. Okay, so there is nothing wrong. Where the mistakes do come in relates to political appointees unwilling to submit themselves to the rule of law when they have flouted those rules. And I think there have been a couple of examples, most recently on Saturday when some regional minister was speaking very harshly to a regional police commander. Those things are not acceptable. The essence of holding political appointment is to subject yourself actually to the will of the people and to respect those in authority that you work with. Because when a regional minister speaks down to a regional commander in a public space, don't forget they are all working together or sitting together on the Regional Security Council.
Yeah.
So political interference comes in different forms and shapes. But when all parties are professional, they are neutral in the performance of their duties, then that does not become a problem. It's when they are very meddlesome. They want to play a role in recruitment, in promotion, in disbursement of the money, how the money is used, then that can become a problem.
Okay, so, but let me find out, is it time to reform the administrative structure of the police service, especially the police management board, which was highly mentioned today during the engagement? Do you see any problem?
Yes, But these are internal, processes. And maybe Mr. Mensah should read my 2015 article on resurrecting the Ghana Police Service. And also my early article about an overview of the Ghana Police Service. There are internal bureaucratic and structural problems and difficulties that can only be resolved by the Ghana Police Service. Okay, so if the management board is not functioning well, what are the processes and mechanisms that can elevate these challenges up to the police council? Except we are saying that the council itself is not performing well and cannot provide the guidance and the strategic vision that we want. But if the council is failing, then we have parliament. Because under the rules and regulations, actually the council must be sending an annual report to the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior. So there are multiple ways and levels at which the oversight role of the performance of the Ghana Police Service can be looked at. Okay. Are these institutions working well? Have they failed? How can we make improvements? Mr. Mensah's approach in raising his concerns about the effectiveness or otherwise of these internal mechanisms came too late, was too little, and the channels that he used totally wrong.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, it's always grateful to you. All right, moving on, the special prosecutor has described the computation of the time limitation based on which an Accra High Court declined its freezing and seizure orders as erroneous. Now, a High Court in Accra on Thursday ordered the special prosecutor to return the property it seized from the matrimonial home of the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources within 7 days. The court also declined the application of the special prosecutor to freeze 2 accounts of the former minister. Now, a statement from the office of the special prosecutor assured the public that it will take all legal steps that seize amount and balance the person's account are either concealed or lost or otherwise dissipated. Now, we'll bring you details of the story, but first, Richard Kojo Nyako was in court and came through with this report.
The OSP's case to the court was that it had conducted a search in Madam Cecilia Dapa's matrimonial home and discovered an amount of $590,000 and 2.7 million Ghana cedis. The OSP suspects that the property were tainted. The office of the special prosecutor also found an undisclosed amount of transactions in 2 accounts belonging to the former minister. The accounts were today named Societe Generale Ghana and then Prudential Bank. The OSP also made the point that the fact remains that the sources of the money remain doubtful and thus went ahead to issue its freezing orders. And so per the act that established the OSP, when an asset has been seized and frozen by its office, the office needs to confirm at the High Court within a period of 7 days. Now, Madam Cecilia Dapa opposed the application. It was her contention that the OSP had breached its own law by not confirming such seizures and freezing of her account within the mandatory 7-day period set by its enabling legislation. And if the court goes ahead to confirm and endorse the acts of the OSP, it may be giving it blessings to illegalities that will mean that the court will be condoning lawlessness. She said the conditions precedent for the OSP to seize and freeze property of Madam Cecilia Dapa were not met before the OSP carried out the act of searching her house, and by so doing has failed to properly invoke the jurisdiction of the court. To Madam Cecilia Dapa, the property were acquired long before she came into public office, and she's not emerged in any corruption or corruption-related activity. Now, the court set down 4 main issues for determination in its ruling. The first was the capacity of the person who authorized the affidavit. It was established that it was not the OSP who authorized it, but it was done by someone who had the authority to do so. And so the presumption of regularity had been satisfied. And that's the objection by Madam Cecilia Dapa on the basis of the capacity of the person who authorized it was far-fetched and without any legal justification. The second issue set down by the courts looked at whether the condition precedent for the seizure of the property in Madam Cecilia Dapa's matrimonial home was met. The court said the OSP acted in excess of its jurisdiction. The OSP also failed to confirm the seizure within 7 days, and the court cannot purport to do something which is illegal. The court indicated they are mandated to uphold the law and not condone breaches. The court said the former minister had demonstrated that she was not concealing any property because the property the OSP found in her home could have been concealed during the subsistence of the criminal case, but the respondent did not do so, and that the OSP failed to justify any reasonable suspicion of the property being tainted. To the court, what the OSP has done is to interfere with the property of Madam Cecilia Dapa, and that's in breach of the 1992 Constitution. And on the final issue for determination, and that the OSP acted on mere speculation, was reactionary to public sentiment and acted without any legal authority. The court thus ordered the OSP to return the property he discovered in her matrimonial home to her within a period of 7 days. Reporting from the court complex, my name is Richard Kwejenyakun for Joy News.
Now, here's a statement released by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, commenced investigation in the third week of July 2023 in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offences regarding large amount of money and other valuable items involving Ms. Cecilia Abena Dapa, a former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources. On August 31, 2023, the High Court, Accra, refused to grant the application of the seizure and freezing orders on the grounds that the confirmation of seizure application was filed out of time, that the OSP did not provide any basis for the seizure and the freezing since it did not disclose the details of the transaction in the account, and further, that the freezing order was based on public sentiment and without proper investigations. While the OSP respects the court's decision, it disagrees with the decision of the court. First, the OSP believes that the court's computation of the time limitation is, with respect, erroneous. Now, the OSP searched 3 private residences associated with Ms. Dapa over the course of 2 weeks. The searches and discovery were ongoing during that period. There is little doubt that the OSP filed its application within the statutory window once the search and discovery window is conceded. Second, the seizure by the OSP and the Special Prosecutor's freezing order were effectuated on the very firm basis of reasonable suspicion that the amount and bank balances were tainted property, as Mr. Pap prevaricated as the sources of the amount she reported stolen from her residence, the amount discovered by the OSP in her residence, and the volume of transactions in a bank account and investment. Third, the freezing order was not based on public sentiment. Rather, it was based on court processes filed in a criminal matter before the Circuit Court, Accra, involving Mr. Pa as the complainant. Further, the freezing order was effected to aid the investigation as required by law, not on the basis of the investigation as indicated by the court. Therefore, it cannot be said that the OSP did not carry out proper investigations to warrant the freezing order. Investigation has only commenced and it is ongoing. The OSP assures the public that it will take all necessary legal steps to ensure that the seized amount and the balances in Ms. Dapa's bank account and investment are neither concealed, lost, or otherwise dissipated. Now, moving on, the police have arrested 2 suspected illegal miners alleged to be part of a larger group of Galamsey operators at Penya No. 2 in the Ashanti region. The police, with the support of the local traditional council, raided the illegal mining enclave to swoop in on the miners. There's more in the following report.
2 excavators on 6 acres of land digging for the mineral ore. Upon sighting the police, the illegal miners took to their heels, but 2 were arrested. The Pechi No. 2 Traditional Council called in the support of the police to rid the area of illegal miners. Richard Nyantechi is secretary to the council. Illegal miners in the community were arrested yesterday. The chief prompted the police upon noticing the illegal miners. The police swiftly acted on it. When we got into their site, the police quickly got in and arrested them. We came across 3 excavators when we got there. They started working not long ago, but they have destroyed about 6 acres of land.
That means internet no so bibia beto form ho bia no wote boy mane but dey can say san fo ne ma obia ene dey asi ne no wiase nyina be hu na nya ade nso say ne nkwa ne yedi sa adwuma no sesi ayako hu ni sa ne dey abre bia no ye bebo ho mpembe because ho na hard out enye ize say obeko wo hwe ye ho nananom ho ene ye nase a enye ize say ho no obetimi akọ obetuma pakeka obe nante be 6-7 kilometers ansa na watimi aduru ba bia o mo ye adwuma no.
The Traditional Council has instituted surveillance over its land to ward off illegal miners. The Nifahini of Pichin number 2, Nana Kweku Amwakukufor II, applauded the police for the swift response. He called for the support of the community members in volunteering information to rid off illegal mining enclaves.
The police force, Oma de kan to sani bia na so anamo matu ne de beto mo so anso ampeti amoma boya me yatimi akwa akwakire nkofo na sesei no oma ka chi sesi a ye hwe say.
The police responded to our call quickly to rid off illegal miners. The fight against Galamsey is difficult. We can't fight it alone. We all have to get involved. Our lands are getting destroyed. Our farms are being destroyed by these illegal miners. We won't survive if they continue to mine.
Galamsey for ababe hihemu a no kwasem no mo say yensa ma akuafo no ene yensu wa ho nyina no wo mo ese ni nanti say omo kwaso di dwumadie dia ese pachi ye daache no hrenhren betimi akuta yen ekom ena ebetimi e dey ato o man.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Now moving on, lack of traffic signals on many roads in Ghana poses danger to commuters. Power cuts also render traffic signals unusable, resulting in accidents. But there's good news. A student of Sunyan Technical University have come up with a less costly solar-powered portable traffic light, which can easily be moved to affected areas. Love FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with the developer Esther Abene for Tech Things Day.
The portable traffic signal, mounted on rollers, is light enough to be carried around by one person whenever the need arises.
So this is a portable solar-based traffic system that we use. It is a movable one as well. So we use it when there is lights out or when there is malfunction in the traffic lights outside. We use it so that instead of having a police or an instructor to direct people where to pass, you put it there and then it will be telling us where to pass. And then the advantage of this over the others is that when there is no light, we can use this because it uses solar. It takes energy from the sun and converts it into electricity to power it. And then we have a battery that is embedded inside too. So once it's taking the electricity, it's also charging the battery as well for us. So in case maybe it's a rainy day and then there is no sun for the solar panel to work, we have an alternative down here that works for it.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
We take a short break, we'll return with more. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Ghana Police Service says the issue of dysfunctional traffic light is beyond their operations. According to Director General of the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, COP Francis Doku, his outfit has joined calls to fix the malfunctioning traffic light, but is yet to receive positive responses from the appropriate authorities. It is disclosed that the MTTD of the Police Service recently launched Traffic Tech GH to arrest culprits of traffic or road traffic issues, measures put in place to maintain sanity on the road.
The issue of dysfunctioning traffic lights is beyond the Ghana Police. But that notwithstanding, in our case as road safety campaigners, in our case as traffic managers, we owe it a duty to also add our voice to the malfunctioning traffic lights. Because if you care to know, sometime last month, I launched the Traffic Tech GH. The Traffic Tech GH basically is based on the principle of automated traffic. Now, without the traffic lights working, it will be difficult for us to get into that arena. So we are still in talks with the road ministry and other agencies whose work is to ensure that the traffic lights are functioning. Once the traffic lights begin to function, and as the sensitization on the Traffic Tech project goes on, we believe that we'll get to our desired destination.
Now, marijuana smokers and thieves are said to be wreaking havoc on TMA primary and junior high schools at Sakumono in the Tema West Municipality, a situation parents, teachers, and other stakeholders can no longer contain. These miscreants are having field day at the school, having literally converted classrooms into washrooms and the compound a refuse dump. School Management Committee Chair Daniel Edo Nyanako tells Joy News thieves recently made their way into the walled school to steal computers, laptops, and other valuables. Tema correspondent Kwame Yanka has the rest of the story.
TMA Primary and JHS at Sakumono is struggling to find an antidote to the menace from committers of the despicable act. According to School Management Committee Chair Daniel Eduineku, the Tema West Municipal Assembly looks on as the school fast deteriorates despite having filed complaints. He says the assembly keeps repeating the chorus of not having funds to help. Although the School Management Committee is doing its part by fixing some of these challenges, he added that it doesn't have the financial strength to do it all alone.
Because we don't have proper security, the weed smokers and the thieves, they jump over the wall and then enter the classroom by breaking the windows. Now, one of the offices there that the students keep their computers and then the books and other equipment, the thieves were able to jump through the window, use hammer and chisel to chisel through the wall, and then go and steal all the computers and the laptops and the books, the textbook that the students are using. And there's no security. So please, we need security in this school. It's just some weak structure that have been used for the gate. And they easily enter here, they'll enter to the classroom and then they'll defecate in the class. Sometimes the teachers and the children will come, the weed smoker have defecated in most of the classrooms. And it's very, very absurd. It discourages the teachers almost all the teachers are asking for transfer from this school.
Chair of the Parent Teacher Association of the school, Stephen Asante, says the school is helpless with the perpetrators becoming a thorn in their flesh. These attacks have resulted in almost all washrooms in the school not functioning.
I
have received countless complaints over what the school is experiencing. This pushed me to approach traditional authorities in the area to help in finding solutions to the situation. Despite our attempt to get Tema West Municipal Assembly to help address these challenges, the town folks too have a responsibility to keep an eye on the school. For parents Esther Yeboah, it is quite an eyesore at the canteen, which is often littered with feces. There isn't any part of the school where one won't come across human excreta. Security must be paramount, and it is an urgent matter. Madam Faustina Mensah, who has a ward and serves in the school, says nefarious activities are on the rise and must be dealt with.
Na school study and career to walla and anke needs kama.
I know of a teacher who requested for transfer because she couldn't handle dealing with toilets every day in her class. My firstborn schooled here, but the school is gradually losing its image. Government seems unperturbed about the issues.
ne table so waba no obi sabi obi aseda ko toilet agum de ese madam ne table ase enya fine.
Parents Agnes Asamoah could not find words to describe what they are experiencing.
Say dia has say kura ba bi eton ade ye beba na nkrofo akọ toilet ni e de esi wo.
We have to purchase disinfectants daily to clean our spots, as we are bombarded with feces and other waste. This affects sales, and we incur losses. We need a permanent solution to these acts in the school. Meanwhile, Tema West Municipal Assembly says its engineer is taking estimates of items destroyed and other challenges in the school for necessary action. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
Now, away from that story, 4 out of 5 working mothers in Ghana experience difficulties in breastfeeding their infant, with only 9% of nursing mothers benefiting from the mandated maternity leave policy across the nation. Consequently, just 53% of babies in the country receive breast milk. These revelations were brought to light during the launch of this year's Breastfeeding Week in Accra. Details in the following report.
The Food and Drugs Authority, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Development partners, including WHO and UNICEF, has launched this year's Breastfeeding Week under the theme, Enabling Breastfeeding, Making a Difference for Working Parents. Speaking at the launch, Professor Richmond Ayite of the University of Ghana School of Public Health revealed that although Ghana's laws allow mothers 12 weeks of maternity leave, this provision is not effectively enforced.
Our legislation, our labor law, talks about the fact that we provide 12 weeks of paid maternity leave for every mother in Ghana, every working mother in Ghana. Now, this is what the study found, that almost 4 out of 5 employed women who were working were not entitled to breastfeeding. These are women who legally are entitled, but the study found that 4 out of 5 were not entitled as far as the kind of working conditions they were in. Only 9% were entitled to maternity leave with pay, and 12% actually had maternity leave with pay. And it was worse among those who are lower education level, low income level, and then those in rural areas. And the survey showed that 63% of women were working around the time that they gave birth. So 81% did not take maternity leave at all, and 12% went on leave but without pay. Only 7% were paid when they went on maternity leave.
As a result of this situation, the study revealed only 56% of Ghanaian infants have access to breast milk. To corroborate the study, a working mother shared her personal experience.
I was away from about 7 o'clock in the morning till about 1:32 p.m. and in that period the milk was just coming through and there was nowhere to let it out. This led to headaches, mild fever from time to time, and just difficulty concentrating at work. So after a short amount of time, I made the decision to quit my job.
Chief Executive Officer of the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, Delise Mimedako, revealed her organization is collaborating with key stakeholders to fully implement the breastfeeding legislation LI 1667.
The FDA is closely working with various stakeholders, such as industry players, the Ghana Health Service, UNICEF, private sector employers, policymakers, and civil society organizations to implement the provisions of the Breastfeeding LI 1667 to ensure that the product's information is not misleading directly or indirectly to affect the benefits of breastfeeding We will continue to monitor advertisements in the traditional and social media and those placed in facilities to ensure that they comply with regulations.
On her part, Deputy Minister of Health, Tina Mensah, reaffirmed the government's dedication to improving the breastfeeding scenario within the country.
We recognize the challenges parents face in balancing their professional responsibilities with the needs of their infants. It is therefore our collective responsibility to address these challenges and ensure that every working parent can make breastfeeding choices without hesitation and difficulties.
Hey Bex, what's up?
Hello to
what's
you.
in showbiz?
This evening I have one beautiful lady, Chayuta. She just released a song called Tonight.
Wow.
We were at the song listening and she was telling us all about her musical journey and also what the tonight means, what inspired the new song.
Support I have is the reason why I keep on going. From my mom, my grandma, my team, management, that is the only support I need. My friends, I mean, most of them pulled up to this event and I'm just seeing them, it was so heartwarming and it makes me want to push even harder to make everybody proud. Yeah.
It means that you actually don't feel pressured by anybody to actually do what you feel like you want to do.
Definitely not. I mean, when the day that I told my mom that I want to pursue a career in music, she was like, go for it. But if you feel like at any moment or any time you don't want to do music anymore, don't hesitate to tell me, because you are young, you might develop new talents, new aspirations and everything. But so far, I mean, I have no plan of changing my The whole thing was, I had a moment where I was like, you know, I'm young, I need to enjoy life. I'm in my young teen adult era and I need to explore, I need to have fun, I need to go out with friends. And I was like, you know what, let me put this in a song. So I actually was speaking the South African dialect and I had the opportunity of working with one of the biggest South African artists, Zanda Zakuza. She wrote the song and then we all had this session over the phone because she's in South Africa. The producer was very, very supportive and the feedback, because it wasn't an easy song to record. So as I said, my vocal coach had to come help. It was stressful, but I mean, I don't regret putting any effort into it. Yeah.
Go look out for this beautiful voice. Do you know how to dance, Carlos?
Yeah, I dance a lot.
Oh,
yeah.
Why am I surprised that you dance a lot?
I dance a lot. So
you're not just
you need to come
faking
see me dance at
for
home. Especially when I'm so happy at home. Come and watch.
Okay, I'm not sure I'll be talking about your kind of dancing. I'm talking about Afronita's kind of dancing that she's taking globally. She recently visited Nigeria and she's been telling us all about her.
All I can do is to be grateful and be thankful to God. Yeah.
How was it able for you to actually have that kind of exchange? Because you know they have a different vibe, you have a different vibe. But I believe for dancers, when you meet, there's a different vibe, that oneness kind of a vibe that comes in between when you do your stuff together.
Okay, so with dance, it's just about sharing culture. I mean, we both do Afro dance. We have different styles of dance, and it's just the best when you're learning from each other. So I mean, we were all eager to learn from each other. So that's new styles. I've learned Ogba from Nigeria. Basically, Ogba from Nigeria. That's what I really learned when I went back there.
Well, Afronita right there. Let me tell you about E-Virus. For those of you who don't know, we have new episodes coming up. Chief One will be the first of this new episodes. Chief One will be telling us all about his story on Saturday on Joy News, 8:30 a.m. right before News File, and on Joy Prime, same Saturday, 4:30 p.m. The repeat dates. You can join us for this fantastic musician coming all the way from the Volta region. He has so many songs, few songs. He was actually the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards Best New Artist nominee, and he will be sharing his story, Carlos. And that will be all for Showbiz this evening.
Great.
You have any other message for your family out there?
Okay, we'll play that right after the show.
Okay.
Right, thank you so much for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Carlos Kaloni. Have a great evening.